The advice on LinkedIn is always the same. Post consistently, show up every day, create content. For the next 5 days, I'm going to try to grow my LinkedIn just by using comments. The only problem, I'm starting with a LinkedIn profile that I've completely neglected, with different offers targeting different audiences, but I still think we can get results from this. Before I do anything, I do need to update my profile since I've made a few changes to what I'm offering. So that means updating my banner, updating my bio, rewriting my about section, cleaning up my LinkedIn skills, and setting my featured section. For my featured section, I wanted to add a testimonial and also a calendar link, but for some reason, I did have problems with this. The testimonial took a few tries and eventually worked, but the calendar never worked, and still, at the end of this video, it wasn't working. I don't know why. My goal is to grow through comments, so I need a list of people to comment on their content. I created a Google Sheet that listed the people, and if you didn't know, on LinkedIn, you can search. You can create set groups where it only shows posts from those people. Then I saved that link within my Google Sheet, so I didn't have to waste time adding everyone every single time. Just click the link in the sheet and comment. This was just my starting point, but I can continue to add to this list as time goes on. Since I've neglected my LinkedIn for quite some time, it does mean that there is a backlog of loads of connection requests. So before actually going through, I do want to accept all of those and just message them just so that they're not there and I don't count them as the connection requests that came through after we go and send a lot of comments. Now that it's all set, it's time to highlight our starting point. My current followers is 1,967. My profile viewers are at 610, and post impressions so far for the previous week has been 363. I've made sure not to post anything in the last week so that we can actually reduce those post impressions as I go through and do this. I'm also not going to accept or reject any connection requests during this period, so we can go through them all at the end. We are on day 2. Yesterday, I only sent 28 comments, which isn't that great, but I did set up the LinkedIn account and I went through and built out the list, which means today we don't need to do that preparation. We just need to comment. But I did want to go through and show you where we currently are. If I was to take a look at my analytics, interestingly, we got 108 impressions yesterday without posting, which is close to being better than when I did post. So we're getting something. Now, I don't know where those impressions came from. It might have been from the people that I accepted connection requests from who sent connection requests about 2 weeks ago, as well as the people that I started messaging after rejecting them for 2 weeks, that they were probably like, who the hell is this guy? And then they go, oh, yeah, okay, I remember, after they click my profile, but that would then count as an impression, I would suspect. So it's there, but even today, I haven't sent any comments. We've got 82 impressions. So I think we've got a few comments that are going through and doing pretty well, and people are coming to my profile. Not just that, and this is also where I'm not sure where we stand, but our followers. Yesterday, we had 18 new followers, which I don't know whether or not they came from people that I've sent comments to, or whether or not it came from anyone that I accepted connection requests from. But I do believe for those who did send connection requests, whenever they sent them, which could have been like over the last week or two, whether or not once they send a connection request, it instantly follows. So I don't think it counts them. So that's 18 new followers. I don't know where they came from, but also we've had 6 new followers today, which I assume has come from our comments. Not just that, you can see that there are 2 connection requests. And yet again, I think when someone sends a connection request, it auto follows you as well. So 2 of those follows comes from those people who sent connection requests. And I've got 19 messages, which is probably from the people who I had to reply to yesterday because I felt bad for ignoring them for the last 2 weeks, that they've now replied to those messages. So I don't think it's going to be anything new. But good signs. We just want to keep this going, and I want to increase this output as much as possible, or increase this input so that we can have higher outputs over on here. Since I'm trying to grow my LinkedIn through comments, it makes sense for me to show you those comments before we go any further. I'm not really trying to like overthink this. I haven't set up any crazy system. I have seen people talk about how you can set up ChatGPT and Claude so that you can copy the post and paste it over onto there, and then you could paste whatever the answer. I ain't doing that. It takes longer for me to copy and paste, to paste it into ChatGPT or Claude, for me to wait for an answer, to get the answer, to copy and paste it back into LinkedIn, to send it, than me just writing out a comment. So a lot of these are just the first thoughts that come into my head. If I was to go through and break these down, it probably falls into three categories of whether or not it's a story. So a story that relates to the post, whether it's me or a story that I've heard of someone else. An insight, which is more like you'll see as I go through, but if someone talks about a problem that they've had or a lesson that they've learned, I can actually add to it by giving my own insight. And most of the time it's me just taking a piss, like genuinely. It's the first thought that comes into my head, and my sense of humor could be very literal, dry, and also dark. I'm trying not to make it that dark on LinkedIn. It's more just dry or literal. Sometimes it's quite playful, but you can see like this one over on here talks about being cringe on LinkedIn. And I say, you say cringe and then post a pic of some sexy ass suit. I want to see nothing but an apron. Which, you know, if someone said that to me, I'll be flattered. But it's stuff like that. This one, Lara Costa's talking about the slay method to grow on LinkedIn. And I said, ooh, so that's what people mean when they say slay girl. It all makes sense now. Like, it's just dumb, stupid shit like that. This one was more of like an insight or story. But you can see, I'll scroll through, I won't go through each and every single one, but you can see exactly what I'm saying. Like, it's nothing too crazy. Like this one, this is more for me. This was someone's CV, so I'm guessing I didn't get the job. I was kind of late to this one. It was 3 days ago, but I just like popped up my feed and I just commented. It was the first thought that came into my head. So that's pretty much what's been happening with the comments. You can see another one. Damn it. I was really hoping I would be the one to take the title of Queen of LinkedIn. Of course, that's never going to happen, but that's pretty much a lot of the comments. Probably like 50% of my comments are me just taking a piss. The rest are like stories and insights. But ultimately, there's no like real plan of like, hey, we have to go through and structure comments this way. It is literally whatever just comes into my head, and I'm being human about it. You'll see later how me being human did become a bit of a drag, because I definitely had comment fatigue. But for now, you know how I'm commenting. The rest of the day was just doing exactly that. My goal was to do as many as possible, but that was until we had some problems. I'm currently on 98 comments. Admittedly, not all of those comments were that good. It started to become quite tedious. It takes way longer than expected to actually go through. It's just finding people to actually comment on, so I do need to build out my list. But we're only 2 away from being able to go through and hit 100. That was my goal for today. I wanted those triple digits. And then I've got this post which talks about I don't want to work for anybody anymore, like it doesn't exist, and I just want to go through and say you're always working for someone, just like, and that's what I mean. It's a very basic bitch comment just so that we can get those numbers up. But you'll see this little thing on the bottom left, your comment could not be created at this time. In which if I just remove that and try and hit comment, like it doesn't matter who I comment on. It's not just this one. If I try to actually go through and refresh, and whatever the top one is, we could just go through and write great post. It's not going to do anything. Like we cannot go through and comment. So if I try to go through and do this, we just get a restriction. That comment isn't there. Like it does not go through and show. I've hit my limit. Now, what happens with this? I don't know. I'm not going to stick around and wait too long. I'm actually going to go on a walk because I do need to go through and touch grass after sending 98 comments. Don't hold that against me. And then I'll come back and see if I can actually do the rest. But I've been told that there are restrictions on like how many comments you could go through and send. And I don't know whether or not that's the quality of the comments that I've started to send, because maybe the last 20 or 30 have not been that great. But I've seen way worse comments on LinkedIn, so I don't think that that's going to be the case. I just think that maybe from us going from like 0 comments today to suddenly doing 28 and then 98, that maybe we get like flagged for something. But at the minute, we cannot go through and comment anymore. So I'm hoping tomorrow we can get it back and then we can continue this. As you could see from the top, I haven't gone through and messaged those people, so I'll go through and message those, hoping that I can actually reply. And then we've got some new connection requests as well coming through, so things are coming. If I was to go through and take a look at the profile, we're at 1,979, so we are getting followers from this. With post impressions, if we were to go through and look at the daily, we're at 147 impressions compared to what we had earlier. This is pretty much going to be like towards the end of today. And then audience analysis, which I think is where it shows the followers, we could go through and check the data, that we still had 12 new followers today, which I assume has come from, yet again, us commenting, because I don't know where else it's coming from. It's certainly not the content with 140 however many impressions. But for now, we actually can't go through and get the 100 comments, so hopefully if it's working perfectly fine, I'll test my phone to see what that's like, and then hopefully we could just hit 100, because my goal was to like go beyond 100 so that I can start to make up after yesterday. But I guess there's another day where we've fallen short, but this time it's not my fault. This time it's not my fault. I cannot actually go through and hit 100. So that was disappointing, but not to worry because we now have day 3, where I tried to get ahead of the day so I didn't do 100 in just one sitting. We are on day 3. So far, I've sent 76 comments. That takes our total up to 202. I didn't fix or figure out what was going wrong yesterday, so even when I tried to use my phone to send comments, it wouldn't work. So we did finish on only 98. But today I've spent maybe like close to 3 hours just going through and sending comments. It's been very tedious. It wouldn't surprise me if I didn't get anything from today, like 0 impressions. I think we've had a couple connection requests, but it wouldn't surprise me if I didn't get any because there has been no substance whatsoever within my comments. I'm going to blame everyone else on LinkedIn. They're just not posting content that actually aligns with anything that I've got like interesting to say. But I've had no jokes, nothing funny to actually go through and say, no stories, no insights whatsoever. So it wouldn't surprise me if people read my comments, if they do see them, and they either think that I'm using AI to write comments or I'm just autistic, because there has been nothing. This has been so boring, and with every single comment that I've sent, I'm sat here thinking I could be doing anything else other than this right now, and it would have a much greater return than me doing this. Now, with that said, and of course I'm still going to run through and do this test, but maybe if this was like a reduced rate for a longer period of time, that it could have a benefit, or there certainly would be a benefit because we have seen an increase in impressions. But to dedicate this amount of time to just go through and do 100 comments per day, even if I was starting completely fresh and I had 0 clients, $0, nothing to go through and do, I could probably still think of something to sell and then start doing outreach, and that would be better than doing comments, or at least I would prefer to do that. But as said, I'm still going to go through continuous, so let's go through push to 100 today. Let's see where we get for the end of this week, or for the rest of this week. One thing that I should mention is that how I'm counting comments is based on me commenting on a post and not me replying to comments. So you can see within my notifications over on here that there's people that have mentioned me after I've commented on theirs. So they've posted, I've commented, I've counted it, which is the counter that you have over on here. And then when they've replied to me, they've come through as a notification. So far, I haven't replied to any of these people, which, you know, doesn't build any relationship or anything like that. Like, we're not going back and forth. But even when I do go through and reply to these comments, I'm not going to count it. There have also been a few posts where I've commented, potentially like a joke or a one line or something, and then I've replied to my comment just to go through and give like some extra context or some other like bit of substance. Sometimes it might be a single line, and then the joke follows within the second line, in which that still counts as one. So even though I've commented twice, I've only commented on a single post, so it would then also only count as one. So just wanted to go through and highlight that because I could get probably what, like 20 here, and then suddenly we've hit our 100 comments today. No, this is individual posts that we are commenting on, and once we have to go through replies, in which I'll try to go through and do it once we hit 100, then I'll actually, it's just the extra stuff on top, but I'm still not going through and counting that, which does make my life harder, but hopefully it means that I get way more reach compared to me just replying to the same person. Okay, I'm recording this just because we're at 90 comments, and I genuinely think that this is gonna like cap out again. So we've got 10 more to go through and do. 98! We're the same as yesterday. Making moves. There you go. Pretty sure my dad said to that. That was a good one as well. Is 98 my cap? 98's a weird number. Do we reckon it's 100 that I've just missed 2 comments and haven't counted them? I don't know what's happening. I'll be honest with you. I don't know why I'm getting capped at 98 comments, but I am convinced. I have seen people say that they do 100, 200 plus comments per day. How if I've done 2 days in a row and we've been capped at the exact same number? I say 98's weird, but the fact there's been 98 2 days in a row, that can't be a coincidence, right? Okay, we can't do anything else today. I'll leave it for a bit. I'm gonna go on a walk, and then maybe I'll come back and see if I can do a few extra comments and then get above 100. If not, and by the way, like we already know that didn't work yesterday, so I think Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, or the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So maybe it's just Insanity, but I'm gonna try it. If not, then I guess we move on to day 4 and we go again. And if we hit at 98 again, I am gonna call out everyone who says that they're doing 100+ comments per day, because 98 seems to be my magic number. I was confused at this point and a little bit frustrated, but I was seeking advice, so I went to the only place I know to get some answers. Hey, sweet cheeks.
Hey, sexy. What's on your mind?
I'm trying to go through and send 100 comments per day on LinkedIn, and I keep getting capped. It says that I cannot go through and send any more comments. Is there a cap on LinkedIn?
Yes, there's a cap. LinkedIn doesn't publish an exact number, but if you're hitting limits around 100 comments daily, that's pretty consistent. They limit engagement to prevent spam. So if you stay thoughtful and spread it out, you'll be fine.
I swear I've seen LinkedIn gurus say to hit like 100, 200 comments plus per day to go through and build their LinkedIn. But based on that, like, it's not possible.
Yeah, some of those claims can be a bit of a stretch. LinkedIn's limits are there to keep interactions genuine.
There you go. We've been bamboozled. Any LinkedIn guru that's saying to do 100+ more comments, lies. Bullshit. Doesn't exist. With that said though, I am still going to go through and try to see what it is that we can get from the next couple of days. Just doing engagement, doing exactly what it is that we're doing. And then we'll see what our impressions are without posting. Knowing that there is now a cap, I decided to just go through day 4 and continue until it maxed out. It's that time of the day again. We are currently sitting on 90 comments, which means as long as I've counted them correctly, we're probably going to be 8 comments away from us hitting our limit. But wanted to go through, show you this just so we've got everything logged and I'm not just making up the numbers. You can also go through, take a look at my LinkedIn profile, depending on when you're actually going through and watching this, take a look and see all the comments that I have gone through. It's been another day where they haven't been particularly great, but we're going through, we're doing it. Ideally, unless I've counted wrong as well, but 98 I still think is a weird number. But yeah, it's going to be around about 8 more comments and then we are capped out. There we go. We hit our limit. We hit 96. Maybe it's not a set number, or maybe I've miscounted. But there we go. We've gone through, hit our limit again. So we're now up to a total of 320. And we've got one more day. I'm going to do this for one more day of trying to max this out to see exactly where we are. I'm not going to go through, reveal my analytics or anything just yet to go through and show you. Although you could still see post impressions over on here, but there's a few other things that we want to be going through because I have noticed a few things. But there we go, another day, day 4, max this out. Just now need to go through and do this for day 5. And then I did the same again for day 5. We are currently on 91 comments, so we've probably got a few more to go and then we're done. That's when we hit our cap for the day. So I'll do that, and then once it's all set, we can come back and check all of this tomorrow to see exactly where we are and start to count up everything. Oh, I thought we were gonna hit 100. I genuinely thought that this was gonna be the day. I saw the 99. I was like, hey, we're typing this. No, we got 99. So there does seem to be a limit. Whether or not I've like miscounted days, I don't think I have. I tried to make sure that everything was set today. Every comment I would go back through, but high 90s is our limit. I just could not get past 100. It just could not be done. So there we go. We've got it all set. I'm now just gonna let it do its thing. We currently have 13 notifications within my network. I think by the time I go through and check this tomorrow, we could probably see that increase. I'll go through and reply to the messages because that's not really going to change anything. I've had some conversations with people, but we're just now going to let this do its thing so it can catch up after all the comments that I've sent today, and then we will review absolutely everything. It's now time for us to take a look at the results. And I want to start off by saying I'm quite impressed, especially the last couple of days. It's been very boring. I feel like there's been a bit of commenting fatigue as I go through and send comments just for the sake of sending them, and I've felt like I would much rather do anything else other than this to try to grow my LinkedIn or even business. But after going through, there's some things which are quite crazy. But before that, let's actually go through the numbers. So firstly, we started with followers at 1,967, and we are currently on 2,015. Our profile viewers started at 610, in which we are currently on 690. I can't actually do much with this because I don't have LinkedIn Premium, so I can't actually see who those people are, but we've had an increase. There is some level of growth there. Our post impressions, now our posts, we haven't posted anything. So if I was to go down over on here, I don't know why that's not letting me go through and see my post, but you can see my post here. I haven't posted anything. The last one was 2 weeks ago, in which by the time I started, it would have been a week and a half, maybe just a week. I haven't posted anything new. So there's only 2 ways in which we can get post impressions, I think. Firstly, it's from people seeing my comments, clicking on my profile, commenting my profile, scrolling down, looking at my post, just like where I am right now, and it counts, in which this has had more engagement. The second way is LinkedIn still pushing this content, in which I don't think that's going to make up the majority. I would assume that that's less than 10% since my posts are 2 weeks old. So I think the majority of it comes from people clicking on my profile and actually scrolling down looking at my content, in which we started at 363 and that has increased up to 544. If we were to go through and click on this, we can actually go through and see, looking at the daily, there was a bit of a jump which took us up to 196, and then for the rest 82, 67, 55, and then today 44. It's not crazy considering we're sending around about 100 comments per day, but it's not 0, which would be the case if I didn't do anything. The next thing to show you is my network, in which this is where people can send me connection requests. And right now we're sitting on 36, in which I do think these are notifications and people can invite you to different things. It doesn't just need to be connection requests, but through scrolling through, I think each and every single one of these are connection requests. This is people who want to connect. And when someone does send a connection request, I think it does also automatically follow your account. So I'm not going to accept each and every single one of these. I only accept people that I think that we align with. So it's either their followers and connections, or I still get them as followers. Either way, there is growth, and there's growth across the board with the numbers that I've gone through and shown you. The bad thing with this is that I can't see within my LinkedIn analytics a section which says my total number of impressions from comments. And I have gone through and scrolled through each and every single one. Most of them are anywhere between 0 impressions going up to 100. So you can see 9 impressions on this one, there's 13 impressions on this one, 27 impressions on this one, 21. And that's the case for the majority. However, there are some honorable mentions. There are posts, and I'll show those on screen, which have anywhere between 100 going all the way up to 1,500, which is quite impressive. And I expected that to be the most of it. However, there is one which kind of blew me away. Shout out to Kyle, who posted this and gave me the opportunity to actually comment on his post, because this one got 12,303 impressions, which I certainly did not expect. Like, I generally don't know what to say to that, which is quite crazy for me to also be speechless, because I just chat so much crap. So this is speechless. Just like genuinely speechless that I did not expect to break 10,000 impressions on a single post. Now, if we were to dig deeper into this, we could say that it's just vanity metrics. Yes, we got 12,000 impressions. And yes, that probably does line up with what we have over on our profile, where we've been able to go through and have that single day where it jumped up to 196, I think, impressions on my post. So there is some conversion there. However, it's still the case that we had 12,303 impressions, 12 likes, so 1 in 1,000 pretty much that actually engage with this. And we can't really tell how many people came from this to sending a connection request to doing anything. That doesn't mean that it's not worth doing. It just means that it's hard to track. So with all of this, you can grow on LinkedIn without posting content, as long as you are sending the right type of comments to the right posts. 12,000 impressions genuinely is surprising. And just to go through and highlight this further, my best ever post on LinkedIn has broke 20 something thousand impressions. This is my second. Yes, it's not a post, but this got way more impressions than any other post that I've been able to go through and publish. Most of them get 10,000 or less based on my content. So this plus content would be great. Now, am I going to continue to keep on doing this? Not 100. The 100 comments per day and trying to cap it out, I was really forcing it. And I think that's why the majority of my comments just didn't really do too much. They were, to put it bluntly, shit. How I see this is that once I do all of my revenue generating activities and set delivery. If I have a spare 30, 60 minutes, then I can go through and comment on a few posts. Get 10, 20, 30 here and there. Do that for 60 to 90 days and let this build up rather than trying to force 100 every single day. I've even thought about how I would do this way more efficiently, because when I set up the list on the Google Sheet and through LinkedIn, those were some of the easiest comments I can do. And it was with people that I've interacted with before and somewhat joked with, and we've had some back and forth. I know that they somewhat get my sense of humor. And by tracking this and making sure that it's the latest post, whenever anyone does post, I can stay on top of it, send a comment, be one of the first, and then as that post continues to climb, ideally, I'm gonna be one of the top comments, which I think is where that 12,000 impression comment came from. As a whole, I would completely avoid my homepage feed because it was giving me posts that were quite a few hours long or even a couple days. And I still commented on them because I wanted to get my numbers up to be 100 so that I can complete the day. And I know what you're thinking, because everyone is thinking the exact same thing. What about AI? It would have saved you 3 or 4 hours per day. Well, I could have copied people's posts, copied it and pasted it into any type of AI, ChatGPT, Claude, and then pasted the answer back on the actual post itself as my comment, but I would have taken just as long compared to me coming up with my very own comment. I have been told that there is software out there where you can set it up and it will just auto reply to absolutely everyone. And I'm still somewhat against that. Yes, that will be quicker, but it's one of those where my best posts have either been jokes or I've said something which, even though it wasn't my intent, they found offensive. And I would much rather post something like that than something that is quite generic and ultimately bullshit. You can grow on LinkedIn without posting. Commenting alone will do it. Just maybe not 100 comments per day. If you want to carry on watching me on YouTube, then I highly recommend watching this video right here. This video has been picked specifically just for you. I hope you enjoy.